Just to make it. Yeah. She's just not that. I don't want to be. No, that's it. I don't want to be here. Keeps doing something. Oh, I have no idea. I think it's going to be a video.
Yeah, that's right. I've already said I don't touch Matt, I don't touch Pete. Good thing. How much did it pay you to put that lead badge on there?
Mate, you know what?
You are all here for a couple of hours. Is everybody here from the end? Should we? Oh, there.
I think you're recording it.
I've started the recording as well, just to let people know I've started recording, so it'll be on record. Anything that's right. So welcome, Richard.
I'd like to say it's nice to be back, but I'm not sure it is.
So Ray, I think Richard Huskins, aka Ray Winston, and in your advancing years.
No.
The same.
You're so predictable.
I'll let you get close to it.
This is your life. By the way, Matt's done this. None of this whizzy stuff. Baby Richard was born 23rd of November 68. Cameras were invented at that time. So we've asked, but we don't have any photographs of you as a baby. So we asked AI for some options. So before starting in the NHS, you had some football trials and played for Kenilworth Road. And you've always been heavily involved in football. You've been coaching, you've been a supporter of Leeds United. Have you done well?
Don't live it in that.
Is there a story you want to tell us about your football headers?
Yeah, I've always supported Leeds. Although my first ever game, I went to watch Barnsley against Halifax. Because my next door neighbour supported Barnsley, so he took that was my first ever game. But I've always been a Leeds fan, but I was black sheep at family because my dad and my granddad are Huddersfield Town fans.
Can you explain this then, Richard?
Next one.
I love that shirt, and it was a Kevin Keegan era. It was a Kevin Keegan era, the little granddad shirt. I love that shirt, and I joked and said I'd love that shirt, and then somebody bought me for Christmas, and I felt a bit dirty wearing it.
Excellent. So times were different when Richard joined the NHS. It's a Sin by the Pet Shop Boys was number one, if anybody remembers that. The Berlin Wall was still up. And Mrs. Thatcher had won a third term. And Richard, this is the picture of Richard working hard then in a minute. So 13th of July, 1987 is when young Richard joined the NHS Yorkshire Regional Health Authority. In December 87, you joined the Supply Centre, and then you joined Eastern Health Authority in 1990, and then became part of the Community Mental Health Services. It was the Leeds Mental Health Services Trust, which is now LYPFT, I believe.
Yeah.
And a picture of you working hard in those days. They brought in the rules about not drinking at work.
What is that?
It's the pub.
I know it's pub. I know which pub it is as well. In fact, it's Junction in Normanton.
So Richard worked hard.
Where you got these from? That's Matt, you're evil.
So during this time, maybe Peter, you can tell us a little bit about, because you
Just remember you.
Can you tell us something about your amazing Christmas parties?
Well,
I'll give you a quiz.
so I've been mates with Rich for a long time, and I worked with him at Greenwood Park. And when Matt asked for some stories, I thought, oh my God, definitely can't talk about the day we took a pool car to a football match in Cowden Beach.
Yeah, Scotland, yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't pay for petrol either, did
Best not say anything about Weatherby races or Friday pub days or final account sports days. But I thought, well, we're on safe grounds with the Christmas parties on most of them. Don't worry, I'm not going there.
I wish you'd only up
For the time I worked there, myself, Richard, and a few of the other lads used to get dressed up in fancy dress. We kept a fancy dress place going, I think. And the Beatles were a particular hit. I think we were a particular hit with the ladies that night. Not within finance, of course. By the Leeds. What other fancy dress? Can you remember any other fancy dress?
Austin Powers,
There was Austin Powers. I remember a Hilt episode.
Yeah.
It was quite popular.
That
but
green shirt that you wore that we made you go and get.
that's true. But I think Richard coined the phrase "work hard, play hard," and that's what we did. Very different times, as you said, Vissa. But amongst the funniest days that I've ever worked in the NHS, working with Richard and the boys and girls in finance at Mingle Park.
Pretend finance manager.
I was a pretend finance manager and proud of it.
There were times which were less rosy from your point of view, wasn't it?
Don't know what you've got coming. Oh, yeah. Just a warning, if you invite Richard to a leaving do and offer to give him a lift home to Normanton, make sure he knows where the window controls are.
If you've got electric windows, yes, people, they just wind them down with open day. I want quickie. I offered to valet your car for you.
He did. The smell lasted about 6 months. I don't know what you mean, Richard, but
I think fine.
Swiftly moving on. So some more notable dates, Richard. So the day that a monsoon hit Park House and the rain came in, pouring into the office, what did you do? You remember? Question.
I remember.
Did you get everyone outside and save the equipment?
No.
Do you remember what you did?
No. I don't know what to say. Yeah.
There was an improv.
Like golf. It was great because we run a estates department and they said there's water literally flowing through the walls and everywhere. They went to turn electric off. I'm like, what? Turn your computers off. So I said, no, what's better is we'll have a putting competition with that. We had dehumidifiers in for about 2 months, didn't we? And it was July. It was.
And then you met Lisa, who is Mrs. Huskins to most of us.
For her sins, yes.
You got married in September 1983, and I think you tried to copy somebody very famous, didn't you?
That's my sister's wedding. That's not my wedding. That's my sister's wedding. Is that photo's from my sister's wedding?
But was she a bride?
Liam, yeah.
You still look like Robbie Rotten.
We're trying to move past that bit, right?
For those of you who've got children of a certain age, Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. And then we had Liam, or you had Liam rather.
Edit that bit out, Vince.
You have Liam, born in December 95, Gemma in 98, and Ben, who was born in 2006, so similar to my kids in age. So we talked a lot because we shared a lot with Ben and my son. And here's a picture, the happy family. So do you have a favourite, Richard? Because you talk about your kids, with huge love and affection, but do you have a favourite?
Well, I have to say Gemma, because she would cry otherwise. But seeing as old Liam saved my life last year, Liam sort of got to the top of the scale at quite some distance. He's very good at CPR, is Liam, so he has to go to the top. But Gemma, who if she ever watches this, Gemma, you as well, because she would go mad, and Ben would just be fine.
Richard, who's the kid who's got his back to you?
He's not one of mine. He's definitely not one of mine. I don't think he is. And here he is. But Charlie's my other child. Because he calls me dad at work. And I call him son. You see resemblance, can't you? Yeah.
There is one other child you speak of all the time.
Oh. So that's my dog Bruno. And that day, Debbie and I were just talking about that when we just went for a coffee, that I walked into the office when the dog was 10 weeks old in the middle of team brief at LSE, and everybody cleared out of LSE from the team brief and actually came to the dog. And I don't think Matt would ever forgive me for that.
So yeah, so I've met Bruno and he's gorgeous. So Matt's going to
Yeah,
talk now
so
about.
Richard, this is the sort of time that we met when you were at Leeds South. And a bit of a memory test for you. 6th of Feb 2006, you called this your biggest regret.
Carl Smith walked through the door. It's funny. It looked like that picture up left as well. He had hair.
He's not changed at all.
That's my worst ever appointment. I do apologise.
So also at this sort of time, you decided that it'd be a great idea to get your legs whacked for charity. Now, there is a video and I couldn't find the video. And this is sort of how I remember it. But the bit that I always remember, Richard, is you had newfound respect for people everywhere that shave and wax their legs because of that. And always remember this photo. I think I paid extra to do the first trip.
Carl, and you weren't.
Yeah.
You weren't gentle.
Yeah. So from there you went to Leeds, south and east, and then this sort of change in sort of commissioning world sort of carries on, doesn't it? But yeah, then we became together as Leeds CCG and then the ICB. And I think just to be sort of serious for a second, Richard, you've always been proudest of your teams and the people you work with, and the fact that a lot of people have, come back to see you as well sort of speaks volumes, and you've seen people progress over the years, so that's great. And we couldn't find loads of photos, but again, great to have everyone here and, some sort of nice memories as well. But we did find out that you'd been in trouble with the law. So I don't know if you knew this, but I got a friend who works in the police force, and I said, if you could get me a picture of someone who looks similar to this guy, it'd be really funny. We could do a bit of a story. So he said, "Is this him?" So actually, yeah, I hope you declared it, but but yeah, you are in police safety. So
They were looking for volunteers, and I was surprised that they didn't have me in the system already.
so if you want to commit a crime, look a bit like Richard. And then 8th of May. Now this is obviously an important day, and especially for me because I was invited to represent our ITS to Buckingham Palace, and there's a picture. I'm obviously dipping down a little bit or studying something. Richard didn't want to be upstage, did you? So you decided to go golfing, found yourself in a bunker in the 7th hole, and what did you do to try and upstage me?
I dropped dead, basically.
But luckily Liam was there, to save you, and it's fantastic that he saved you, but especially for this day. And this is a really special date for Richard because he became a grandfather of Eden. So fantastic times. There you go, pal. 37 and a half years later.
That's what I look like, you geez.
I know, and there you go. And that's, if you remember, that's from November. It's sort of a bit Windsor Davies type thing.
That was the first day that Bex ever met me, that I interviewed Bex with me, and I had to explain I'm doing Movember. I don't normally look like that.
How can you feature? And Richard,
Yes, all I was going to say with you at the end is, Richard, you're going to leave a big hole, as everybody's worked on. Not everybody, some of us are too old, but a lot of people's worked at. You've been a really great go-to person. A lot of comments that came back were about everyone wanted your help. You were a great role model. We're going to have a vacancy for the finance team's departmental quizmaster.
It's good that that's what I'm known as.
Source of all unofficial channels of communication and gossip. Lots of laughter, lots of humour, positivity, always supportive. Lots of conversation about golf, cars, and football, especially Leeds United. You were extremely patient. I would say maybe reserved for specific people, and a heart of gold. And we will always go if Richard were here. We have been saying this for the past year. If Richard was here, we'd know what to do with this. And Lisa now wants to say a few words to follow.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you, Lisa and Matt, for inviting me back today to say a few words about Richard. And I think, Richard, just the sheer number of people here is testimony to how valued a member you are of the NHS and have been for almost 4 decades. And I know that it's been a real privilege for you and you feel immense pride that you've been part of the NHS family and in Leeds for such a long time. And I guess some of us are fortunate to have known some really good times in the NHS. And I think that you and I and other people here today too, who we worked alongside, we felt a lot of that positivity at South Leeds PCT and at Leeds PCT. And as we often used to speak about in later years, you would say to me, we had much more responsibility then as 8As and freedom to act and really the economic climate in which to commission services. And I've been given a lot of thought to our working life together, and it's so intertwined with other people. And people at work become your family, they become an extension of your own family. But I'm going to speak about just one of my particular favourite memories. Like you, Peter, there are many. There are mentionables, and there are not mentionable. But this is an unmentionable one. So we were asked, I think it was 2009, and for some reason we were asked to be part of a reference group for the developing NHS standard contracts by the Department of Health. It was pre-Andrew Lansley. So like all good Northerners, you know, you're on the platform in Leeds at like 6 o'clock in the morning, aren't you? Because people in London arrange meetings for you at 9:30. So we've done that, we've done the slog. And we went down to the Department of Health on Whitehall. Through the doors, we felt really proud of ourselves. We were thinking, gosh, you know, what would our parents think about us? So that was the work part, and we enjoyed it. Sorry to anybody still in contracting, but we may have influenced that contract, hopefully for the best. And then now on to the personal bit, because at that time I was a bit in love with somebody, and he worked in London. And so during the build-up for this trip, I'd been speaking to him, texting, oh, I could meet you, I'm in London for the day, and I'll see you about 5 o'clock, King's Cross Station. So a few things happened in between. We left the Department of Health, and then it started to absolutely pour down with rain, torrential wind. I, of course, was aiming to look my best for the 5 o'clock rendezvous at King's Cross. And the brolly just flew inside, just went inside out. So I said to Richard, hold me back, while the brolly's going, Mary, kind of like the wreck of the Hesperus. And he said to me, I can't hold a woman's handbag. I don't know if you can hold a man's handbag, but you definitely can't. So I'm still texting, didn't get much of a reply. When we got back, we were at King's Cross, 5 o'clock, 5:10, 5:20. I started then with the waterworks, tears running down my cheeks. I said to Richard, he's not coming. He said, no, he's not coming. He said, and it's a good job, he said, because if he does come now, I'll punch him. I said, right. And we'd organised a later train because of this rendezvous. So he said, come on, I'll treat you. We'll go for something to eat and drink. So like all good Northerners, we went towards St Pancras and said, that's the same architect that designed Leeds General Inn. So I've got to try and top it. So in we go to St Pancras and into the champagne bar. So we didn't really know what we were doing here. We just saw it lit up. Oh, we went up the steps into the champagne bar. So I ordered a glass of champagne. Richard's not a big drinker, as you know, apart from on certain occasions. He had half a beer. We decided to share a ham sandwich. Came with this bijou Kilner jar with a bit of pickle and about 10 crisps in a bowl. So that was it. Are you feeling all right? I said, yeah, I'm feeling all right now. So we best get the bill because we best go for our train, hop back over to King's Cross. Richard, can I have a bill, please? Bill came. He opened it and went, Asher. Richard, are you all right? Took me, looked at the bill. He looked back at me and he said,
Should have gone to Greg.
so that's one of the best ones. And I just wanted to say at this point, you know, some of the, I think, best times we had in the hard times, like all the out of area treatments and, you know, LD and mental health. And we did that alongside Renata and our dear friend Norman Campbell, who no longer with us. So it was quite a special time, that kind of time. On to the serious bit. Richard, you represent the best of the values of the NHS because you always hold patients, their clinical teams, and collaboration with providers across the whole system is at the heart of all you do. That's not just the NHS, that's the third sector, the local authority. Your reputation genuinely goes before you. And I think that's because you're trustworthy and you're trusted by people, because people know they can rely on you to do the right thing. You're easy to work alongside, not at first at least. You see, Tim, you were a bit of a miserable person. I had them in trouble and it never left me for all the years. I was forgetting my horrible password. Not putting the right code on, because in those days, do you remember books of codes? Yeah. They're like lists, manual, yeah, books of coding. Anyway, and the nicest person to me in finance was Carl. That's it. Always tell you winning ways and a ready smile.
You talk some guff in your time. You have everything you say.
Self-pitying. You're easy to work alongside because you're so pragmatic, sensible, have got common sense, you can relate to people, you can talk to people, and you're highly capable. So I know I speak for other people now when I say that it's been an honour and a privilege to have worked alongside you for several decades. We've all benefited from how you're able to teach people, your wealth of experience, your kindness, your fierce commitment to do the right thing, your leadership skills, and your generosity with your time. And you have a great sense of fun, and you're such a warm person. So on behalf of us all today, thank you. Thank you for your service. You might never know how your decision making had positively impacted on the people of Leeds. Thank you for your unfailing strength and support to many of us here throughout the good times and the hard times. And I know at the moment, in the very difficult situation that everyone's in, that your team will really be missing you, and as will other people. Thank you for still being here with us, for all the courage you've shown in the last year in the face of adversity, for the strength you've found, your grit and your commitment to your recovery, to keep on living life with zest. Friend, colleague, top finance person, husband, son, dad and granddad, we love you. Yeah.
For a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Just,
You're warm now.
I don't think I'm opening the, that's not the collection bag.
Back at Solomon.
But yeah, so there's two presents. You could call that a second prize. So you might know what that is, but if you want to open it,
It's we've done it in golden ticket style,
Yeah,
haven't you, Matt?
yeah.
Yeah. That's why you need the coin.
No, good at these.
Oh, and while you're doing that, Jane Bathgate Roach can't wait to tell her husband about the Newcastle top, and she's also saying, but I'm assuming John's your husband, Jane.
Yes,
and
he is, yeah.
yeah, and she's also said thank you so much. You said it on behalf of everybody.
To work this time. Joe nights. You know, is it out the car?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? 2 nights out of the Yeah, we always used to say that in quiz. Yeah,
In the other one.
thank you. I'm nearly coming round now, hold on. Oh, gosh. This in
Build up a bit of.
3 nights we can.
It's a whole week away.
It's not good, this, is it? The 50 base points.
It's not undone, is it?
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
So we thought we'd just a bit of a collection which you can put towards your next holiday, because I know you're looking to
Thank
go.
you. That's amazing. Wow. I don't know what to say, and I'm not often lost for words. It's like 37 years, 7 months and 1 day I worked in NHS. And it was really strange that after 37.5 years, bang on the date, I got told that my ill health retirement had been accepted, and that felt a bit. It's 37.5 years, it was strange, it's been a long time, and I don't know how you sum that up in the hour you said I'd got, Matt. Is that right? I'm doing a Stuart McVeigh, I'm going to go through every. Stuart, you know how long that. So on the first day at work, if I'd have thought nearly 38 years since when I walked into regional headquarters at 30 Victoria Avenue in Harrogate and thought 38 years later I'd be the old fart that's retired, I wouldn't have believed you. And seen a lot of changes in the NHS in that time, some good, some not so good, lots of restructurings. I think I calculate 17 I've done. So I have your sympathy that you're all going through other ones, but I've done my share. I don't need to do any more. But when I first started work, I went in the office on my first day and they didn't have any computers. Oh, yes, young people, they didn't have computers. They didn't have mobile phones. You smoked in the office, or the lady smoked in the office door in Coates. I've never forgot her. She had the only window and she had it open and she smoked, chain smoked constantly all day long. And we had a tea lady, and the tea lady used to tell you all the gossip. So that's where I got into the gossip thing. So I carried that on quite well. And I think that, Quizmaster and gossip's been quite a good, sort of legacy to leave behind for everybody. But, I've worked for 35 years in Leeds, and I'm proud that I've worked for 35 years in Leeds, working for some services that were seen as the bridesmaids, like the mental health and continuing healthcare. And I think I used to bang on when everybody were talking about acute/LTHT all the time. And I used to be like, come on, there's other things out there. And I think luckily with Kevin and then Visa, that changed. And I'm really pleased that it changed and they got a better outlook on life, because it always felt like they were the bridesmaid service. And, I'm proud that I did that. I only lasted 8 days in West Yorkshire, and that maybe tells you something. Basically, I died to get out of West Yorkshire. That's a bit harsh, but, it's what you do. But over the years, I've worked with loads and loads and loads of people. I've been privileged to work with and for some amazing people. I've learned a lot from every manager that I've had, and never ask anybody to do something that you don't know how to do yourself, because if you don't know how to do it and they ask you the question, you look like an idiot, basically. Well, I've done quite well at looking like an idiot. And when I say career, job really, whatever it is, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a career because I think I've winged most of it. I'm having a laugh and a joke, and I'm interested and remembered as a quizmaster. I did a bit of finance in between. Talked about cars a lot, didn't we, and other things. But, we learn things, and especially when I was at Mental Health Trust for 15 years, I used to go onto the wards and, I'd be talking to nurses and nurse managers, and I used to think, I'm asking them to do finance. If they turned it around and said, Richard, could you look after this ward for half an hour? I'd be like, I ain't got a clue. So patience, and that's what you learn. And I think they're the skills that I've always learned. I'm a people person, as you all know. But I think we've lost that a little bit sometimes now. And that's the bit I didn't enjoy over the last few years on Teams and things like that. You lose that personal face-to-face contact with people and building relationships. As I say, you had no mobile phones when I first started. And I came to Leeds Eastern Health Authority, which I think there were 2 at the time. I've been through 1, 2, 3 and 5 different organisations in Leeds. Never done 4. And in the town, we came to Leeds and they had 2 computers. Oh, they were posh. What they didn't know is it were in a computer room, and Brian was my boss at one of these times. I've known Brian and Sam for a long time, and Pete used to sleep in computer room. They don't know. They don't get the turns for a kid, especially on a Friday afternoon when we used to put at pub. We used to put at pub. You know, who knew? If you imagine doing that in these days. But you know, I've met some amazing people. You know, when I changed to a commissioner and when, you know, poached the term gamekeeper, you know, that was a big change, and I probably enjoyed that as much as any time. You know, I've met people like Lisa who I've known for 20 years, you know, as I've said, Sam and Brian, and people from, you know, from provider organisations, John Crowther from council, and, you know, learned with people, Jane who's on there, you know. That's what I wanted to do, is build the team. Now, to me, that's the biggest thing you can do, is build the team. And I've been so lucky to be able to employ a hell of a lot of people who are in this room, apart from Carl. You know, sorry, Carl. I do love you, really. But, you know, I've met some amazing people. And I think the thing for me is people like Pete, Lisa, Matt, Visa, you know, Debbie. Over the years, and certainly in this last year, you're not work colleagues, you're friends, and that means a lot to me. And you know, I've got a lot of friends through work, and you can't buy that sort of relationship and that sort of camaraderie that you've had. I'm proud to be in the NHS, and you know, I wish you all the best in what's going on. And it's not lost on me that on the 8th of May last year, the NHS saved my life, along with Liam. Liam give me CPR, but you know, everything aligned, you know, ambulance service, air ambulances, coronary care. And I think that's quite fitting that the NHS saved my life. And you know, I'm so lucky now to go to the next job now. My next job now is looking after my family. I've got 2 weddings coming up with Liam and Gemma are getting married, and I've got a granddaughter, and you know, and life's good. I recommend retirement. Right, it's great. Yeah. Don't do it the way I did it. There are other options. Just leave. You don't have to die to do it. But I do highly recommend it. But I always look back on with massive pride for working for the NHS, and the friendships that I've gained and the people that I know. I'm really proud, and I'm always proud to say I work for the NHS, and that means the world to me. So thank you all.
And I think a few people, no, nobody's got their hand up. I was just going to say, Jonathan Webb says lovely words from colleagues, and he's wishing you a long and happy retirement. Sinead as well, saying you're a legend. She'll miss you. And also the people echoing your words, Lisa, thank you. Just, and then Hugh, it was a real pleasure knowing you, working with you, and thank you for the help over the years. Lots of grief Judith and I got for the extra data requests, but you always got it done. All the very, very best for a happy retirement. Yeah. So thank you, Hugh. Yeah, if anybody wants to say anything, put your hands up. Otherwise, I'll stop recording anyway, if I know how to.
There's a lot of love in the room, isn't there?
You know, should have retired earlier. I realise you all act. What, just because I had some money and I could give you some money.